webinar of Retailers Association of India in partnership with Zebra Technologies. Today, we are going to deliberate and discuss on this extremely relevant topic, that is experience, operations, and data, key drivers of the business in the new normal. Friends, as we have seen that the second wave is behind us and the industry is now poised to open up and move to the next level. What has this 1.5 years taught us in terms of the customer behavior, in terms of changes in the business models, in terms of operational efficiencies and challenges that we have, supply chain challenges and efficiencies in front of us, and the ever-changing customer, which is the key to this current scenario. And that's why the key drivers of business in the new normal is the theme for today's deliberation. We have with us an eminent panel of retail in India, and it's my pleasure to introduce them to you. To start with, we have got Mr. Aniruddha Banerjee, who is the head of sales and operations, Spencer's Retail. We have got Dharmender Khanna, head of digital transformation, SSIPL Retail. We have got Dr. Anil, senior vice president, retail planning and supply chain, Landmark Group. We have got George Pepes, vertical solutions marketing lead, Zebra Technologies, Asia Pacific. We have got Mr. Jay Kumar, Chief Executive Officer of Apollo Pharmacy. We have got Mr. Satish from Arvind Fashions, who is the Senior Vice President and Chief Information Officer. And we have got Mr. Swaminathan R, Chief Supply Chain Officer, Aditya Birla Fashions and Retail Limited. And me, Dr. Hitesh Bhatt from Retailers Association of India. Friends, we start this webinar with a very, very insightful presentation from George, and subsequently we'll start the deliberations. Look forward for this presentation. George, over to you.
Thank you, Hitesh. Bear with me while I just share my screen with you all. Good morning. It is my honor to be with you for this session. I'm very excited to be here and very happy and very honored to be here. As we all know, shoppers have increasingly high expectations for retailers to be able to provide safety, speed, and convenience. Now, even though the old retail saying that the customer is always right still rings true today, the pandemic has actually accelerated a shift in the shopper's mindset. And I think it's something that we all very much need to be keenly aware of. So this afternoon, I want to provide you with some insights into the expectations of shoppers that we have discovered through our 2021 Zebra Global Shopper Study. Now, this is the 13th annual study, which we have split into 2 volumes. So we do this every year, and we've been doing one for the last 13 years. Now, the study is available as a free download, which you can find on our website at www.zebra.com/retail, or alternatively, by using the barcode that you can see on the screen. If you scan that and with your smart device, then you'll be able to go straight to a link with the study. Now, the first volume of the study focuses on the perceptions of the shopping experience by the shoppers. The second volume focuses on the technology investments that retail decision makers are looking to implement in the near future. In this session, what I want to do is give you highlights from both of the volumes. We won't go into too much detail, but I'll give you some of the key points. So again, please feel free to download the study. It is a free study as well. So please visit our site, www.zebra.com, for your copy. Now, just to provide you with some background, the survey was conducted last year during the height of the pandemic, with inputs taken from around the world, as well as representation from India, which is a fairly recent event. We've had Indian representation on this study for the last 2 years now. So a lot of this information has an Indian flavor to it. Now, the study was conducted to get a sense of the experiences of shoppers. Not only the shoppers though, but retail associates and decision makers. essentially during the height of the pandemic in 2020. Now, although there have been some results that have been exacerbated by the pandemic, we've seen things like the explosive growth of e-commerce. We have been seeing these trends over the last 13 years. So for us, it's nothing new. It's just that the pandemic has caused everything to accelerate in pace. So hopefully we'll be able to show you a little bit of a glimpse into what your customers want and how you can help solidify your success in the industry by giving them what they're looking for. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the study is broken into 2 volumes, looking at retail from the perspective of the shoppers, as well as that of the retail decision makers, as well as the store associates. Now, if we start with the perception of the shoppers, it's no surprise that safety is of key concern. While retail has been disrupted by the pandemic, what we've seen from the study is that the basic motivation for shoppers has not changed. They want the desired item readily available at the best value with a hassle-free transaction. So as mentioned, safety has become the new focus for shoppers though. We have seen that shoppers are now demanding a seamless blend of online and in-store experiences. Now, shoppers are very savvy and very flexible, and they have the tools to do so. They have mobile phones, smartphones, they have access to the internet, they have a lot more choice in terms of where they can shop, and they know that. If they can't get an item in store, they'll head online, or simply vice versa. So leveraging both channels for the most basic of reasons, and this is what the shoppers are telling us, is essentially product availability, selection, and price. Now, one key finding from the study is that while retail perception is that retailers are in fact delivering on the shoppers' expectations, the shoppers are in fact telling us something completely different. Overall, shopper satisfaction levels have seen a decline in both online and in-store retail, according to our study. So when we look at the overall shopping experience, 76% of shoppers have advised us that they are indeed satisfied with the in-store shopping experience. Now, retail decision makers, on the other hand, see this very differently. 90% of retail executives believe that shoppers are satisfied with the in-store shopping experience. So here we can see a discrepancy in the perceptions. Now, with basics such as product availability and selection for in-store and delivery timing and returns causing the greatest challenge for shoppers online. So if we look at delivery timing for online retail, only 66% of shoppers have stated that they are indeed satisfied with the timing of their deliveries. And this is, in fact, a 6 percentage point drop over last year's survey. Now, of course, when you think about online retail, one of the key and essential items is the delivery aspect. So therefore, it's no surprise then that in the study, 6 in 10 retail executives say that the pandemic has actually accelerated their technology spending plans. And their focus is now to keep pace with the shifting mindset of shoppers as they move to a digital and safety-first mindset. Now, if we take a look at the retailer perspective, I think that it's safe to assume that the pandemic has been the catalyst for an already fast-moving sector to evolve at an unprecedented pace. Evolving essentially to overcome challenges such as store closures, to meet the accelerated demands of shoppers, and to support the new reality we currently face. However, we have seen that the adversity has accelerated innovation, growth, new experiences, and faster fulfillment. So many retailers, especially those that have been deemed essential, have had to adjust practically overnight. If you think about it, one day people could come into the stores, the next day people were in lockdown. So a very, very quick shift in philosophy and in mindset. But one thing that we have seen during the whole of the pandemic is the important role that the store associates have played. Now, retail decision makers are looking at how to make better use of their associates to deliver on the new demands of shoppers, and are effectively turning to technology to do this. And as we'll see, and as we'll discuss, digitalization is becoming a key part in the retail vocabulary, and it's something that a lot of people are taking a lot more seriously. Now, from the study, associates have recognized the importance of technology, and retail decision makers are in fact looking to further enable their associates. With the explosive growth of online retail and the need for a new omni-channel approach, retailers are looking to digitally transform the store to keep pace. Now, where are they beginning? Well, they're actually beginning with some basics. They're beginning with an added focus to inventory accuracy and greater visibility into their whole supply chain. So retailers are ensuring that they can provide the foundations of retail, and that is the right product. But more importantly, they can accurately share this information with customers so that when the customers are online, they can make more informed purchasing decisions and thus eliminating the opportunity for a bad experience. Now, how do we create a bad experience online? Essentially, we promise someone something and then can't deliver. So extending the view into the store, we can actually start to adopt more of an omni-channel strategy. And essentially what we do is we can start fulfilling from the store or providing added conveniences and services for customers such as click and collect. So let's take an example of someone placing an order online. Now, imagine that the distribution center is 50 kilometers from the customer's delivery address, while they are only 10 kilometers away from a store with that item in stock. Now, if we think back to the lack of satisfaction in the timing of deliveries, then wouldn't utilizing the stores differently as fulfillment centers, for instance, bring that stock closer to the customer? Would it not make more sense then to ship from the store? Thus, we've shortened the time for delivery as well as reducing the shipping costs. So if you think about it, it would probably cost a lot less to ship at 10 kilometers than it would 50 kilometers. Now, if we have this visibility into the supply chain, this also benefits the associates as they can then start using digital technology, such as mobile computers, within the store to answer customer questions more quickly. In the case of out of stocks, for example, the associate can use a mobile computer to pull up inventory levels across the whole of the supply chain, including other stores, including the distribution centers, and then work with the customer to provide an option for them. Now, if we go back to the study, the top reason shoppers leave a store without making a purchase is essentially a classic retail pain point. They don't have the right stock at the right time. So by giving them the flexibility and the options, the associates are potentially saving a lost sale. They can say to the customer, well, we don't have it in this store, but we've got it in the next store. That's a little bit down the road. So A, you can pick it up from there, or B, we can deliver it to your home. And therefore providing greater convenience for shoppers, providing that safety and convenience of the fact that the shoppers can get in and out quickly. And again, mobile technology can also make a much larger impact on the day-to-day operations of an associate. So if you think about some of the tasks that associates have to do in store, cycle counts and putting away of orders and all the necessary but mundane tasks, what can we do in terms of technology to streamline and find efficiencies there to actually let them have more time with the customers? So as I wrap up, I just wanted to recap a couple of the key points that we've discussed. So we are all keenly aware that not only the retail industry, but shoppers themselves have changed dramatically over the past 18 months. But there are ways in which we can rebound, and digital transformation goes a long way towards that. So if we start with inventory accuracy and supply chain visibility, we can ensure that we have the right products. So as shoppers move more towards online, then we can provide them with more accurate inventory levels as they make their purchasing decisions. If we think about extending the visibility into the stores, then that provides the opportunity to ship from stores, enabling true omni-channel, whether that be shipping to someone's home address or providing conveniences such as click and collect. By providing store associates with the right mobile technology, then they can also have access into that information. So when an item is out of stock, for instance, and they're talking to a customer, they can provide options for the shoppers quickly and easily. And again, as we've seen, shoppers want to get in and out of stores quickly and safely, all while being able to do their routine tasks and efficiently by freeing the associates up to spend more time with the customers driving sales. With that, I'd like to thank you for your time. I look forward to the conversation with my fellow panelists. And as I mentioned before I go, just the shopper study is available for a free download from www.xero.com. We will be providing a copy of this presentation as well, so you will be able to find the information there. And if at any time you have any questions regarding the shopper study, then please feel free to contact us. Thank you.
Thank you, George, for that insightful presentation. Now we will move on to the next part of this webinar, and that is the interaction with our experts. My first question would go to Aniruddha to start with, and we will take the first pillar of this webinar, and that is experience. And how we have seen that lifestyle changes, habits have changed, models have changed, and so has the consumer behavior. So, Aniruddha, my question to you would be that there is a change in the consumer behavior. How is it that you and your organization are interpreting it at this time?
Yeah, thank you, Hitesh, and thanks all the panelists and Zebra Technology. Yeah, yes, last 1.5 years is all about experience, and it's a blend of hard skill, which is technology, and soft skill, right? Reading consumer behavior. And I say we are the student of the University of Consumer Behavior. So how it changed from a very experiential model, now it is moving towards the essential model. Consumers are spending much lesser time on shop floor, more time on the screen, and people have moved towards multi-channel retail to get the fulfillment done on time. So the preference of the same family has been broken down into multi-channel. Previously, it was one family, one channel kind of scenario before pandemic. And now, especially after Wave 2 in India, it's actually broken down. And now, how do we know that? So the same household, probably from our data point, we can see there are on-premises consumption. The same family, same day, did some online ordering, and same family next day morning did some phone ordering. So as a retailer, when we are approaching them through multi-channel for all of their need with the zero delivery cost, this is right now real-time demand versus supply bridge. There's a big change in consumer behavior, and we feel that's here to stay. Obviously, when the vaccination piece will go up, the experiential shopping will slowly come back. Definitely, it will come back. So, mall will again start thriving. But from the essential perspective, it will be here and now. And in the last sentence, how do I sum it up? How do we see consumers are behaving now? In the morning, let's say housewife is getting into the kitchen. She's figuring out 3-4 items are required. And then and there, she's placing an order with an expectation within 2 hours that will get supplied. So the agility from the retailer side is the key skill sets which we see we are forced to develop, and other retailers are also developing in these times. Thanks.
Thank you, Aniruddha. Agility for the retailers or from the retailer side is one, and we have moved, especially in the category that Aniruddha is, from an experiential model to an essential model. Now that is something that we have to take cognizance of, and then real-time demand versus the supply reach, readiness, etc. The same question I would like to ask Dharmender in his category. Dharmender, how do you see the consumer behavior and the experience that has shifted from what it was pre-COVID?
See, there's a lot of shift which is digital because the stores was closed. You couldn't step out. And the demand is still there. People still want to, and especially our category, sports and fitness, where people are adopting more because sitting at home, their daily regimes is disbalanced. So demand is still there. The requirement or mode of purchase has become more towards digital and online. Having said that, physical still remains the best choice. People want to have a touch and feel. They want to have a trial. And in case there is certain product, certain size, certain color which is missing in the store, then the phygital or an omni-channel solution kicks in, where customer can see a vast range of an under-style. And that kind of adoption, people actually tend to browse themselves on a touch screen and see, and probably people are more aware because we are more present in tier 2, tier 3 cities, where internet has really, smartphones has been adopted very well. People are well aware about the brand, and that kind of, it's a mix of physical and digital that is shaping up. It is more become a phygital retail world now.
Okay. Thanks, Dharmendra. Mode of purchase has changed. And
Yes.
physical still remains the best choice, is what Dharmender says, especially in his category of sports and fitness. With the same question, I would like Dr. Anil also to share his views on how the customer is changing in his category.
Well, the customer has changed actually. Hitesh, thanks for the opportunity to start with, and appreciate the initiative of Rai actually to in such a crucial time. The consumer has changed forever now. I mean, let's look at apparel side of things, right? I mean, who's wearing fashion anymore? Where will they wear it to, right? It's completely gone. Everybody's staying home, 24/7. What has that done? Instead of, the fashion, they've gone on to the casual wear or the easy wear or the lounge wear and so on. So huge changeover actually in terms of what they want to wear at home. Earlier, they all used to have, by the way, my customer is the queen, right? She's that young mother or young actually family member, young actually mom who's ordering for herself, ordering for the kids, ordering for her husband also, because she's anyway using his wallet, right? So she has to keep him also in good spirit. So she's the queen for us, right now. And during COVID also, we realized that there was a lot of pent-up demand. Kids will grow. Kids will grow probably more actually during COVID because they're eating more, they're enjoying more. There is no pressure of the school at all. There is no homework pressure actually for them. So they're eating more and growing more. Therefore, the kids wear, was in high demand actually during the COVID. So very quickly we realized actually huge shift from fashion, the trendy clothes into the casual wear, the lounge wear, and so on. And then loyalty actually of the customer is one thing that we must actually appreciate and then address, because even during the deep COVID lockdowns and all that, customer wanted us to be engaged with them. Maybe through the digital channels or the social networking and all that. They wanted to keep us in touch, and then kind of the moment we started opening servicing through, let's say, online or door deliveries and all that, they just came back big time. So I guess the trends have definitely changed from fashion and trendy into the casual and the lounge wear and all that. But then they've also kind of been demanding from their known retailers of their change choice. For example, most of them used to have a couple of ways of actually night wear. Now that they are there at home at 24/7, our customers actually always want to have variety even at home. So they wanted at least 7 pairs of at least casual wear, or if not more. So they want to look good and feel good even at home as well, right? So that was our experience. And then we had a huge demand and a continuity. In fact, the customer preferences have changed, but then the demand has never changed. If anything, it's gone up actually.
Oh, wow. Demand has gone up. Fashion has changed. Choices have changed. Loyalty is something that Anil spoke about, and customer want the retailer to be engaged with them. This is an extremely powerful insight. Normally we hear that the retailers are going towards the customer, but here we are seeing that the customer also wants the retailer to be engaged with them, and I think this is a very positive sign. And the same question I would like to go and ask Satish. How has the customer changed in your business, and what are the insights out there, Satish?
Sure. Thanks, Dr. Hitesh. I think one thing I would start with by saying is, we just opened our brand new Arrow store at Alpha Mall in Ahmedabad yesterday.
Congratulations.
I think that's a testimonial to the fact that, we strongly vouch for a strong comeback of the shoppers back to the shop, right? And we'll probably be seeing that accelerate as things like vaccination and potentially third wave being much lower than what is expected. So I think directionally, definitely at least in fashion and in retail, shops are there to stay, right? I think there could be a little bit of a revenue mix or a channel redistribution that might happen. But having said that, I think I would hasten to add that we are also looking at experience from online only perspective in a very, very focused way, right? For instance, we've actually focused on getting a whole lot of online for online merchandise, right? Because typically online in fashion has been seen as some kind of a secondary channel or a markdown channel, or not always the fresh channel. I'm not saying you don't get fresh, but not the place to go for the fresh channels, right? But I think that approach and mindset and experience to the customer is something that we want to kind of pioneer and kind of lead the change. And From that perspective, we are also focusing on a lot of online for online, right? So these would be typical assortments which will not last beyond a few weeks, and then they will go through a quick rapid replenishment cycles, and the whole data and operations would be kind of geared to provide this kind of an experience, right? So that's point number one. Point number two, as we accelerate our physical stores, I think there are different ways in which we are approaching it. Obviously, contactless, ensuring that there is absolutely no paper exchange, be it cash, be it even the receipts, which can get delivered through a QR code, and tap as you go if it's a card, and home trials wherever there is a hyper local market that we can address, where there's a store who knows the customer, who's been shopping in that place regularly. They can actually do a trial at home and kind of do a cash on delivery kind of stuff. So these are some of the other capabilities and opportunities that we really see accelerating. But I think that's from a customer perspective. Of course, from an employee experience perspective, I think, which is equally important, we're doing a whole lot of things so that the boredom of being on the screen time, or the risks of being excessive on the screen time, is mitigated through a lot of appification of our portlets and our applications, so that people can do it more in the comfort of say even taking a walk in the park, right? For example, filing an expense or taking a leave or whatever, right? So it's those kind of experience which we really want to engage and enhance at every level within the organization, right? So
Okay, sorry.
Thank you, Hitesh.
Thanks, Satish. Employee experience is also one of the experience that we are talking about, and it's not always the customer; it's also the employee and how how he's feeling during these times. And the other thing you spoke about, the contactless part, and online for online is another insight. That there one more good positive sign again we are hearing is strong comeback from the shoppers for shopping. So this is a very positive sign that shoppers are willing to come back for shopping and ready to enter the physical stores. With this, I would like to ask Swami his views on the customer experience and how it's changing.
Hi, Dr. Hitesh. Thank you for the opportunity. The way we see it is in terms of customer experience, customers are looking forward more to in the pandemic time to shop from home. But as the stores open up, there is a pent-up demand. People want to go out and shop in the physical stores. I don't think that's going to go away. But also we recognize the fact that people have enjoyed the experience of delivering at home, even though it has been forced due to the pandemic. We expect a shift in terms of behavior, in terms of buying both online and from physical. There is going to be, it is no longer an online or a physical, it's going to merge. At some point of time, the experience is going to merge, and we need to service them as a customer from whichever channel he is. We need to be focused on the consumer rather than on our channels. That is the big change which we see. The way we are approaching in terms of delivering experience to the consumer is going to be more integrated. Our communication, our strategy is going to be more integrated than a separate strategy for online and a separate strategy for that's how I think the retail industry will go. I think the consumers are teaching us, and the shift probably is accelerated. We have all thought the penetration would go probably, no one would have expected the current penetration which is there. And though people will come back, but people will certain purchases, the essentials, what they would still want to we can buy from home will continue to be bought from home. I think we are looking at an integrated experience than a separate experience. And safety is one of the areas where we are driving vaccination across all our organizations, all with our partners, with mall owners, everybody. We're driving vaccination as a weapon to make consumers feel safe, and also make our own employees feel safe. We have the luxury of, most of us have the luxury of working from home, whereas the frontline staff have to go to the stores, have to go to the warehouses, go to the factories. They need to go. So we are driving that, ensuring that we are driving safety as a key agenda in the next couple of months. and that we presume and we assume the consumers also will feel the impact of that.
Excellent. In fact, you are also looking at the employee experience part in terms of safety and things like that. Apart from that, integrated experience is something which, Swami, you spoke about. I think that is the core today. Apart from merging that, there is now no line between online and offline, and it has merged. And that's what we have seen as a shift in the buying behavior. Thanks for that, Swami. And with this, I would like to ask Mr. Jay Kumar. Mr. Jay Kumar, you are, I won't say an odd man out because you are from a different category, but the most important category for a human being, that is the pharma medical, category. And with hundreds of stores across the country, Mr. Jay Kumar, I think from a pandemic perspective and looking at the business in which you are a bit cushioned amongst all of us, as far as the hit that has been taken by the retailers or the industry overall. Pharma, because the demand went up and things like that. Even in this, how have you seen, the customer changing in your category, Mr. Jayakumar?
Hey, thanks, Dr. Hitesh and all the panelists are echoing the sentiments of everyone about the Omni channel. But as I said, I'm an odd man out category, but we have operated all the 500 days. But again, this is not, it's really a big challenge for us, getting our 33,000 employees, down and working every day. And as you said, within 250 square feet in India, today, the pharmacy is called as Dawai Dukan, right? So it's never been recognized. I think now in the last 500 days, a lot of recognition has come, for the chemist channel too. So I think that really a welcoming sign. And so just to give you a statistics, in India, there are close to 9 lakh chemists are there in India, out of which only 7% are organized, the stores. When I say organized, like chain like us. And within that, we have a 60% of the share, and where we have 4,250 plus stores. All our company-owned stores operated in 21 states and 700 cities. And 25% of them are, round the clock it operates. So it's very, very different, kind of segment where you need to give experience, throughout these 24 hours to them. So during this pandemic, what we have seen, as many of you have mentioned, earlier we have seen 98% of our walk-ins were through the offline store, but we have seen a real shift, during the last, 500 days or so in this category. You all also would have definitely done an online shopping of, the pharma. So I just thought that there are 5, things, buckets list where I made it. This is going to, stay. The number one is that basic experience at the store, which is all about, safe place to buy. That is going to, be there for another 6 or 7 or 8 months or so. As, Mr. Hitesh has mentioned, the third wave is going to be a little lighter than I think we are going to be more safer. Then the omni-channel experience that everyone has spoken about, it's going to stay for a longer. And, what we have done as a, the healthcare company, the community care, because we all somewhere related to near to the community where we have our stores, that we have strengthened in a big way during this pandemic. That's the, number 3. So going to number 4, certain little bit of, the innovation we have done at store, not in a big box kind of, stores where our innovation, we never ever thought of at the store like pharmacy, where you can able to see a mobile POS, where you can able to, invoices at a store. So those kind of, the innovations, what we have done. And finally, based on the data, if you go and we have just, come up with a couple of products and wherein it will be a continuum of care, for our loyal customers. So that we could able to, bring. So quickly, just to take you through in terms of, the basic experience at the store on the safety, you all know all the guidelines. There is no need for us to talk much. But on the omni-channel front, I wanted to really talk. As an organization is really an important, because we being a, kind of a legacy company for, 3.5 decades, until last 24 months, we have never believed that online is going to be a big case. Again, the e-commerce policy of, the pharma also is not clear. But during this pandemic, what we have done, the entire Apollo group, the physical properties, being in hospitals, diagnostics, clinics, pharmacy, everything, we have just got this as a kind of an healthcare super app. So wherein we have close to a 30 million loyal customer as a group, and out of which at least 7 million transact every month. So it's a huge. And we have really, tried our best. How can we give this experience to them? So what we have done, the consultation, you all know, you would have definitely one or two would have consulted through online, and the diagnostics piece and the pharmacy piece, and getting your entire 72 hospitals, specialty doctors into this, through the online. Again, it's the first time they all coming in. So a lot of training is required for them. That's our hospital team would have, done it very nicely. The people from the remote, any part of the country, Kashmir to Kanyakumari, they can able to reach out to the doctor in 15 minutes time. So that's, I think, something what, this has been done. And the pharmacy deliveries, where we could able to, reach out to 10,000 to 15,000 pin codes in less than 24 hours time, and maybe in a top cities in less than 2 hours of time. I think these are the, things where the omni channel really plays. I think this will stay even after, the lockdown has come down. Still, we are seeing that 70% of the level what we have done, still it is continuing. And as I told you, the community, this is an important, thing maybe for all the retailers, is that are we really, we just see who are the customers who are really coming and buying from our community. I think that's the job what we have done over the last 500 days, and really reaching out to them. There are many of them are in distress, and how to really help them out. We have created a lot of health hour, that is again a digital, and getting all our, the top consultants to just come and talk to them about whatever the anxiety points they have. So we have gained a lot of traction, a lot of trust, among that. Apart from that, the Stay Safe campaign, because many of the senior citizens and pregnant women or young mothers, they can't come, and also there are a lot of people who have got affected, so they can't come out. So we have done a Stay Safe campaign. I think we have delivered our best. I will not say that I'll claim the victory. We have done our best, but I think we have tried what really we could able to do, because we had a supply chain issues or other things also was there. I think this is the continuum of care within the community. We can able to really do the vaccination. Everyone has mentioned. So we as Apollo has taken that as a forefront. I think the highest inoculations we have done. That is also part of our the continuum of care with the community. I think this couple of innovations I just told you at the store. Maybe this is not new for any of the big retailers, but when it comes to the pharmacy chain, doing a giving an experience of MPOS mobile pass at the store for the non-pharma SKUs without human intervention, they can come and buy. And also in our hospital-based pharmacies, all the prescription may be scanned and it will go to the pharmacy. Your medicine is ready, so without the contact, you have been dispensed. But this category is little difficult because you have to explain them how to take the medication. So we have done the 24 hours customer care center. It is operated all the 24 hours. We used to receive close to 8,000 to 10,000 inbound calls on medications and those things. I think that is also is helped us a big level. So finally, coming into leveraging the data, I think a lot of products have come in. This is all in a pipeline. But just to talk to you, one of the best product based on the AI and cutting technology, based on the information of the medicine usage and as well as the disease pattern. So we have called that the Pro Health. This is the one of the going to be a big product for across India for Apollo hospitals that we may be selling through our pharmacies. This is based on prevent, predict, and the overcome disease. That's the part of your continuum of care which we are really working on. And another one more product we felt, we as a group, we were individually working as a vertical. Then we felt this is the right time. We have to build as an Apollo, as one circle, as one Apollo, so that we get able to give that experience throughout to our loyal customers in the same way. I think these are the couple of learnings, and I think this is continue to go. And for many of the things will continue to go for a long time. So I feel it's all about the experience is all about a journey, so it will not get stopped. So I think that's what I wanted to share with the team. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay Kumarji. Experience is about the journey. You spoke about the omni-channel part, the innovation that you have done in your outlets, and obviously the community approach and the data integration. With this, I would, Mr. Jay Kumar would also like to know subsequently, how you are managing the operations, because that is the second pillar of this deliberation that we are having today about this 4,000 odd stores and adding data also to that. With this, George, my next question to you is, you work with a wide range of retailers across the globe, And in your recent experience, how are the retailers transforming themselves? If you can share something, how are they driving the strategy part of it?
Well, I think everyone's on the same page in terms of there's a couple of points that a number of the panel have raised. Now, the first one, and we've seen this in the study, is the fact that the store is not dead. The in-store experience will not go away. There still will be an in-store experience. And again, it is that blurring of the in-store and the online that really does need to happen. And essentially what that is omni-channel. Now, when we start talking to retailers around the world, a lot of them are going down this path. They see that, we still need a store, but we need to merge that experience. So whether you're having an experience in the store or online, that it's the same experience. Now, the best way to actually work with the retailers to achieve omnichannel is to make sure that the basics are correct. Now, when we say basics, we think inventory, making sure we have the right inventory at the right time, at the right place. Making sure that we can have that full visibility across the supply chain. So then we can use omnichannel. If you think about using the stores differently and blurring that line. I gave the example before of someone coming into a store, the item not being there, and the associate having the technology to be able to see exactly what's happening within the supply chain. That's what we mean when we say digital transformation, and that to me is true omnichannel. So if someone wants to buy online, that's fine. They can go online, and then we can see where we can deliver from in terms of that product. So whether it needs to come from a distribution center or whether it can come from a store, that's fine. Whether we can offer the customer click and collect, which then from a retail perspective allows for an upsell as well when they come in. But essentially what we are starting to see is that indeed blurring, and we don't see shoppers and customers looking at offline and online. They don't see separate channels anymore. They just see the brand. So if your brand is giving them a great customer experience online, great. If it's giving them a bad customer experience in the store, that's an issue because that harms the other one. So effectively what we've seen is a lot are going down the omnichannel path, and they're investing in the technology to make life easier. So if they're using manual-based inventory systems with pen and paper, they're already behind the 8 ball. Scanning technology, scanning of barcodes has been around for a very long time. We do it in the front of store in a large part of the world. Why not do that in the back of the store at a minimum? We also look at things like RFID technology, so radio frequency identification. So then not only do you have an accurate count of what's going on in the store and in the distribution center, and basically making sure that you have full visibility in real time, because again, that's what people are looking for, that real-time information. But in the hands of the store associate, if they're doing cycle counts, it makes their life a lot easier as well. They can do the cycle counts a lot quicker. So instead of closing a store for 2 or 3 days, they can do it in 3 hours, and they don't need to close the store. And again, that saves more time, more resources. And again, you put that where the customer is. And we've spoken a lot about customer experience, and that's what everything's driving. It's that customer experience. If people want to come out of their homes, they've got to feel safe, they've got to be secure. They want to go into a store quickly, easily, and come back out again. If they're online, then if we guarantee that we'll deliver something in 2 days or in an hour in some parts of the world, then the item better get there in an hour, because otherwise that's a bad customer experience.
Thanks, George. Store is not dead. I agree, and all of us have agreed on this point at least. And the in-store and the online experiences are merging, and it's becoming omnichannel. It has become already a long time back, but people have realized it of late in today's environment. And one thing that you spoke about is inventory. Inventory management, right product at the right time at the right place. I think taking this inventory as a next pillar of operations, Aniruddha, is my next question to you. That we have seen, supply chain operations, inventory management, etc. How do you optimize delivery? So, delivery optimization is something integral to the operations part of it. And how have you, I will say, adjusted, relooked, innovated in terms of delivery optimizations from an operation supply chain perspective?
Right, Hitesh, you have correctly pointed out this operation supply chain today. and the entire business under pandemic end-to-end is supply chain today. As a merchant, he's also doing a supply chain job. The operation team is also doing a supply chain job when we are talking of omni-channel. And obviously, supply chain as a core function is doing the planning, analytics, and the procurement part of it. Now, how it has changed in recent days? Previously it was 100% tech. It was algorithm based on shorter time period or longer time period. Somebody was using 3 months average daily sales. Somebody was using 6 months, going up to multinationals with 2 years average daily sale. And we all know the backbone of supply chain planning is average daily sales, right? Now, with the fluctuation in ADS because of limitations in business hours or the notifications or the no entries, that concept got a little bit diluted. So the requirement is now a good amalgamation of the algorithm and the soft skill of the managers, his experience, how this will work out or pan out over next 1 month or 2 months time. Like if today I take up ADS of my category, let's say April or ENE, which was shut for last 45 days. So obviously my ADSs are low, which will not work out for next 45 days after in the unlocking period. So that's one thing in procurement is seeing a sea change. So the number of variables which used to be 8 to 10 in procurement algorithm, now the number of variables are going up. And there are technology, there are tools which can accommodate up to 16 to 20 variables also in the procurement model. So that's one sea change we can see. The algorithms are not that straight anymore. Second, the integration which you are talking from operation perspective. Now, as I was saying, now everybody in the chain is a part of supply chain, because when I'm doing an in-store picking, packing, delivery, these are core supply chain function before the pandemic. Now each and every store member in our shop floor are equipped, trained, reskilled to do the same thing. So that way they are also a supply chain, they become a supply chain person. And the third thing, the last thing which I will say on the on-time delivery, which you asked for, there's a key KPI in today's both my food and non-food business. And for that, we have dependability on 3PL partners also and internal staff. So our HR played a key role into this, because we have reskilled our staff to do the same thing, to sensitize, to establish one-on-one contact with the customer and the picker to make the process much simpler. So when you look at our customer complaint portal, most of the things actually when you analyze can be sorted out by the picker himself, be it the quality of the product, timely delivery, or the packaging quality. So we have simplified the process and in order to demystify and reducing the TAT, we have trained our pickers to address it directly. In case of if it's a tech related issue, a payment related issue, that is only going up to the manager level. Thanks.
Thank you, Aniruddha. End-to-end is supply chain, or let's put it in other words, business is supply chain today. And that's where, we have always been talking about supply chain as a backbone for retail. And another thing that you mentioned about is it's not only the algorithms, you can't do and rely only on the algorithms. You have to get that human managerial interface and experience today to, come up with their predictive analytics and planning and so on and so forth. With this, Dharmender, how has your operations been challenged, and how have you, faced this challenge and did some innovations to overcome it?
So as everyone said, Anil said, supply chain had been a challenge. See, when these sudden lockdowns happen, you're not prepared for what things are shaping up. And although we were digitally connected, the orders flowing in one store, we had to auto hop or we manually hop to a remote location, because when everything was closed, Assam was operational. And when Assam was operational, everything got closed. So those things became, the technology served a lot of purpose, although there was a lot of cost that we incurred because a person was placing an order from Haryana to a Haryana store. But since the orders were coming, some business were coming, we arranged the fulfillment from wherever the stores are operational. And good part in this time was at least the supply chain and warehousing and long hauls were allowed. Those were not restricted. So technology became us quite a big enabler. Auto hopping is the option where one location is closed. You can auto hop your orders, your processes to the other location. The other thing, where, as panelists mentioned about IoT, the connected vehicles helped in a lot of giving a real-time information to the customer. The customer was aware it's a lockdown. There was a clear message on the order that there is a delay. There may be a delay of 6 to 7 days from a regular shipping timeline. But they have order. They keep on checking. They keep on inquiring. Or in case there is no response, they get really panicked about their orders being placed. In that, our connected devices, vehicles gave a real-time location. The product is in transit. You can expect it delivered in another 7 days. So those things are helping a lot. Whatever the challenge human intervention faces, AI solves. Having said that, we've been retail. Our AI is the actual intelligence of a store manager when everything is operational. He understands the customer most.
We understand the customer the most. With that, Dr. Anil, what have been your challenges and how have you overcome it at the Landmark Group, sir?
Well, I guess it's been a long journey, right? It's very, very difficult to sum it up in probably a couple of minutes, right? So whether it's an inventory challenge which got accumulated because the front end was closed, the tap was closed, but then the pressure kept coming from the back end, from the supplier end and all that. And having developed actually a long-term association with the suppliers and so on, it's very difficult for us to stop it and also kind of look into them, right? Whether it's the suppliers or the payment terms or even actually the welfare of their employees and so on, right? So I think Landmark Group went out of their way and kind of supported a lot of the contract staff, the factory staff and all of them, when the work was not there, during the first wave of COVID and so on. And I guess inventory redistribution was probably the biggest challenge that we ever had, right? I guess, I remember talking to you, I think a couple of days ago, about the demand management and the forecasting of whatever, we used to actually follow on, right? All of that went through the main roller shutter door, right? I mean, there was nothing called forecasting demand management left with us. All we had to do was how quickly can I sense the demand across the various geos, like my co-panelists are talking. One part of India was, open, the other part was closed. Some parts were actually mini open. And then, I mean, our administrators and politicians actually, they think actually it's like switching on, switching off things actually. Oh, today you can open the store from 10 to 2. Tomorrow you can open from 11 to 3. Boss, there are so many things actually involved. So many components actually have to get into the jigsaw puzzle to make it happen. It is not like you switch on. It's not like a computer. Like, Mr. Swami was also saying, we all have the luxury of sitting at home and then, kind of, operate it from there. But what happens to the people on the floor? What happens to the people actually who have to go to work? I mean, for example, in Karnataka, right, the lockdown was there for the last 3 weeks or 2.5 weeks or whatever, right? There was nothing actually allowed to go around. I mean, they have opened the shops actually from 6 to 10 or whatever, but you can't take a 2-wheeler, you can't take a 4-wheeler. You have to go, you have to walk and go, I believe. I mean, all senseless actually, terms and conditions that, which we had to work through, I guess, from the one problem was actually on the inventory side. The other problem was actually, as my co-panelists are talking about, is on the people particularly. Fortunately, for the second wave, we ended up actually operating the warehouse right throughout because our online order demand never stopped. I mean, we had a steady demand actually of that, and so which we had to, in fact, continue to service, in fact. Plus, fortunately, this time some sensitivity prevailed because I keep saying that in quite a few webinars actually. In India, we've always talked about the essential things for our lifetime, right? Or our lives. Roti, kapda or makan. People actually all talked about roti and makan, but nobody talked about kapda. Kapda is also part of an essential, ingredient actually for the human life, right? Therefore, fortunately, second wave, there was some, sensitivity prevailed, and therefore we were allowed to operate at least for online, right? So one side inventory, then the warehouse people or the, shop people and so on. And then how do you actually do the logistics of your own people? All those things probably were a big challenge, I guess. And there were no easy answers. So we had to literally kind of, I remember, going through and then doing the iterations of actually our demand management. I think we did about 2 dozen iterations of actually revised planning, revised inventory management, revised distribution, and so on. Because we know that the demand for fashion went away. Whereas, a lot of demand came for casual wear, and loungewear and all that, as I said earlier. But we had to quickly get around to make it. And where were the workers? All the factory people have gone back to the native places. And all the skilled manpower in the warehouse have gone to the native places. And then you had to even, send buses or send some vehicles actually to even fetch them also. So it was a huge, actually, gamut of problems that we had to deal with. Fortunately, second wave, we were able to, do a much better job because we were better prepared. And also government also understood a lot of ground realities, right? So that's how I think second wave has been little kind to us in terms of supply chain and logistics, but it was really hard on people itself. First wave, none of us actually lost any people, right? Whereas second wave, a lot of us lost actually our own colleagues and then counterparts and so on, which was actually quite a, not a nice thing to actually, go around or, experience around, in fact. So different challenges, but then at least the COVID has taught us to not to take anything for granted. Be alert, be agile all the time. I mean, if you are able to sense it quickly, cater to the demand, actually, you are in the game. Otherwise, you will really miss out the boat, actually. That's probably the biggest learning for us.
Thank you, Dr. Anil. Be alert, be agile, always ready to roar. With this, I would shift to Satish and have his views on the operations, demands and the innovations that your organization and you have executed during these challenging times.
I think I kind of echo what both Dharmender and Anil said, right? I think one is broadly it was more about viewing the inventory more holistically, rather than having it, pocketed into some silos within the supply chain. So the inventory discoverability and our ability to really hop inventory off from store X to store Y, depending on where the point of demand is and how agile we are able to do it, was really a key differentiator. And it manifested itself in various ways in terms of the solutions that we need to put together from a technology perspective. And I think that was really the digital aspect of, digital really coming to life, from my perspective, right? Because digital has generally been a very abused, overused word in the past, but these are really the areas where, we could really apply digital just in terms of getting the deep integration within the within the various components of the system and having a more holistic inventory view. And more importantly, it was essential for us to be able to project these catalogs and these inventories to even the online marketplace, because these were the only channels which were the sources for selling the inventory, during these 500 odd days, and more specifically, over the last couple of months. So we couldn't restrict, just to the warehouses, just to, the fulfillment centers. We had to actually go to the last point of stocking to ensure that, that is available as a sellable inventory. So that's point number one. Point number two, going slightly upstream, I think it was also about how do you redefine your entire, merchandise strategy, right? So typically in fashion, we've been used to an autumn, winter, spring, summer kind of a cycle, and each one of them has its own, components in terms of, how do you build the scale for the brand, for the division, for that category, and how do you kind of what should be your GP profile, what's your markdown profile, what's your inventory profile, so on and so forth, right? But I think that cycle of autumn, winter, summer, spring, etc., really got crunched into probably I would say 6 to 8 weeks, right? Not more than that. And so it is less to do about scale now. It is of course about scale, but it is less to do about scale, but it is more to do about your ability to adapt to the variabilities, right? And do it and do a quick replenishment cycle. And I think Anil also kind of alluded to that, right? How do you really start reshaping your replenishment codes and your replenishment and your kill styles in a more agile way, so that you don't end up overstocking or understocking at any point in time, right? So I'd probably leave it at those 2 points, which are probably very critical. Where again, a whole lot of technology, whole lot of digital, whole lot of deep integration into the various touch points, within the organization really came to play. Yeah.
Thanks. Thank you, Satish. Swami, how have you faced these challenges? Your views, please.
One of the, and as everyone has pointed out, one of the biggest changes in the post-pandemic has been the unpredictability in terms of demand. We all been used to long S&OP cycles. We plan long periods of S&OP cycles, and fashion industry has one of the bane of the fashion industry is the long lead time. That has been the I think that is with that, it was a real double whammy in terms of, as Anil pointed out, when the dam is stopped, you suddenly see a pile up of inventory in terms of the overall. That I guess would have been a problem of the whole apparel industry. But we are more, I would add another dimension to it. One of the biggest changes which we see is to bring in agility in the supply chain. Our mind to market time no longer can be 6 to 8 months. It can't be. It has to come down dramatically so that we are able to respond to what's happening. See, we cannot be thinking everything is over. I don't think the pandemic in this form, current form, might be over, but it might be in forms of micro containments and containments. These. Smaller waves, bigger waves, this will continue for a period of time, and we all need to prepare a new, better model in terms of supplying. That is what we are focusing on, building, a very agile model. We no longer look at it as 2 seasons or 4 seasons. We look at as every month as a season. So the change has been dramatic in the way we are looking at in terms of how we will respond to this. And a large part of the supply chain has been with the mind to market time has been within the organization. A part of the lead time has also been with the supply chain partners, with vendors, but a large part has been within the organization, which is what we are dramatically working on, reimagining our internal processes, rebuilding them more digitally, and building an agile supply chain on top of that. And that is what is going to, in our opinion, that is one of the key drivers for the future.
Thank you. Thank you, Swaminathanji. Mr. Jay Kumar, if we can have you, with 4,000 plus stores, how do you manage this? And, I really want to know an example from your end, because like what Dr. Anil, even Aniruddha, Satish, Swami, Dharmender, all of them said the challenges were there. Now, with this kind of a network across the country, you must have got n number of challenges. Even if one small challenge from one, you have got at any given time 4,000 challenges to address. What is it that the key challenge that you faced, and how did you overcome it?
100% I'll agree with you, Dr. Hitesh, and all the co-panelists. Most of the things they've actually addressed it. And in our category, one of the big problem is that we manage 70,000 SKUs. Out of 70,000 SKUs, 75% of them are not barcoded. So that's one of the big challenge we have in a pharmacy is not the barcoded. So it's all about the physical and based on the codes what we really transact. There are 2 big challenges actually we had. We being an omni-channel the organization, but we have a huge physical presence, and also we have opened full time, but we had a problem of managing the store because most of them went down with the COVID, because many of our, Mr. Anil has rightly said, how many of them we lost that we really it's a big pain point. So how do we really manage the a store was one thing. Second thing was the delivery, we were not really ready. And we were just doing only 2% of our deliveries or the online or home delivery. Suddenly, which increases to 10 to 12%, then it was a major challenge. I think our tech has really helped us. Overnight they created a dashboard wherein every region and cluster they could able to view this and immediately just created some color coding so that the store guys, because it is not a chronic or an acute drug where we can deliver it tomorrow or something. This is a COVID, which is a life-saving drug. So we created the hook around to the team. It's a national duty. So how many number of lives we can save? I think that's why, because as in healthcare, this emotion always, goes in. I think I'm so glad and, very, proud of our employees who has took a risk and on themselves, our 50 to 60% of the deliveries being done by our store staff itself. And 40% of them is being done by the delivery partners, because we are not really fully aligned, because pre-COVID, our percentage is only 2%. So we never had a big, partners to go and deliver it. I think now that's a big learning for us. And always we must be, as everyone has said, agile, and we need to build for future and not for just a current, thing. I think a big learning what we have actually took. Another thing on the supply chain, as you said, 21 states operation. Many of you, all have that, brands. Yes, as we said, from wave 1 to wave 2, little bit of organized in terms of supply chain. But yes, when Delhi was peak, South was not peak. So what we have done are again the technology, because I think I'm happy to say, I think we are the first retailer to embrace the ERP system in pharma retail, basically. So we have a very robust, the dashboards and other things. And happy to say that. And we had those dashboards where live inventories were from the POS and in terms of your online and your supply chain, all are integrated together. So we were able to take those information. A lot of airlifting we have done, because it is medicine and it is a life saving from Chennai to Hyderabad, or Hyderabad to Delhi, or Delhi to Kolkata. So many things we have done. I think that's the best way. The one thing is that we all at the office, so we never been working from home and be the frontline thing. So that one of the things where immediately we could able to know and get all our teams together, be it a supply chain, be it an IT, be it the logistics team and operations. So we could able to really overcome. But as I told you, definitely we have not achieved that 100% of what we have to do. But because the supply chain itself, we had only 65 to 70% of the supplies have come. Just to give you one example and close, and you all know Zincovit as one of the brand where it has gone into 200 times of fold of the increase. How do we really give? But whatever the relationship we had with the manufacturer, the priority supplies we could able to get, and we could able to deliver it somewhere around 80 to 85%. So we can't pick everywhere that we have achieved really great being an healthcare company, but we have done our best, and we hope we could able to be part of saving many lives in India. So that's where I summarize it.
Excellent, Jay Kumarji, and hats off to you for doing this, excellent, noble work, and all our wishes for helping you and the team to keep saving the lives, because this is the most critical thing in today's time. Thanks for these inputs, George. My question to you before we take the audience question is, what is the key technology investment that retailers should invest in after hearing all our esteemed panelists?
Well, I think everyone's answered that question. Anything that helps real-time visibility within the supply chain, whether that's inventory, whether that's analytics, looking at real-time what's going on within a store or what's going on within the supply chain. So something that you mentioned, prescriptive analytics, making sure that you've got real-time visibility, because I think everyone understands that retail has changed.
I think there is a network issue, not an issue. We will, we'll come back to George once again. In the meantime, I am going to take the audience question before we go for the final, closing round. The question is, I think it's a very simple question, but yet, George, we have got you back. George, we could not hear you. Sorry.
Apologies for that. I think my connection dropped.
Yeah, please.
What I was saying essentially was, making sure that the supply chain is as accurate as possible, putting into practice the things that give you the visibility, but more importantly, real-time visibility, looking at things like prescriptive analytics that you mentioned before. So understanding what's going on in real time. So if we have an issue with a certain stock item, and we can see that it's happening in real time, then we can take action towards it as well. So essentially ensuring that the supply chain is there, ensuring that it's visible, ensuring that you know how to access the analytics and the data in real time. And on top of that, again, how do we arm the associates with the right technology? Because at the end of the day, they are the front lines with the customer. So you need to make sure that they also have the technology that links back into that back-end system.
Thank you, George. Before I go and ask this question, I would like the esteemed panel to sum it up in terms of what would be their mantras. 1, 2, 3 mantras, whatever you want to share with the audience and the retailers, that they should take cognizance of in the operations in the current time as far as the experience, data or operations is concerned. So let me ask this question from the audience to our panel. As I told you, it's a very simple question. How can you manage your demand planning and supply chain better amidst the COVID-19 disruption? You all have answered it, but still I would like to know, because this is a very, very important and a pertinent question for all the retailers across all the categories, across all the geographies. How can you manage your SCM and demand planning better? I would like your views. Anybody can please take this question.
So Hitesh, I'll take this. The demand planning and supply chain has to optimize in all circumstances. COVID has accelerated the requirement because your seasons have become shorter. The business has become unpredictable, and only people who have all the technologies to make the decision really fast in terms of pricing, buying, sourcing, retail merchandising, what level at the store, replenishing, those people will be able to succeed. People who are waiting for data manually and taking time and decision, they might not be able to scale or survive that last.
Okay. Anybody else would like to answer this before we move to the final question? Yeah, Satish.
I'll probably just add, Hitesh, that I think the moment of truth from a demand perspective, which was earlier a customer walking into the shop and then asking for what he or she needs, has actually moved away from that point to has kind of shifted left to a lot earlier in the cycle, right? And we need to kind of trace the digital footprints of that individual given in the context of the customer, in the context of an omni-channel, and really be ready to anticipate the demand, based on what they are browsing, what they are searching, so that what you actually consummate in the store is a conclusion of the journey rather than the beginning of the journey, right? I think if we start looking at demand in that way, we'll probably be, and we can even, preempt some of the decisions from the customer through more, AI and technologies such as that. So I think if you're able to move in that direction, probably it will be a great step going forward. I think supply chain we've covered, in terms of inventory discoverability and.
Yeah. In fact, there is one more question which I would like Aniruddha and George also to answer apart from Dr. Anil and Mr. Jayakumar is, how is the technology adoption in a supply chain different for different retail product categories? Short life cycle products like apparels versus long life cycle products like FMCG. So we have got Aniruddha, we have got Swami and Dr. Anil also. And George, please.
I will take this in terms of the one of the, though the product life cycle is short, the lead times are long in our industry, in terms of the fashion and apparel industry. So that is a double, you have problems from both sides in terms of, one, you need to predict it a little early, and two, your product life cycle is continuing to drop season on season, because no longer you sell the same product for a long time.
Okay.
So basically in my opinion, AI is going to play a key role in changing this process. We need to sense demand. We can't think that we will manually sense demand by talking to our stores, talking to our multiple partners. Manually sensing demand has its own lead time and has its own difficulty in terms of scaling up as an organization. So AI is going to play a dramatic role in this. I think we would need to depend on AI to be able to forecast it, sense it much earlier. There is, in this world, there is a lot of data available. You don't have the data of only what you sell. You have the data of what others sell. So a large amount of data is digitally available, but to be able to sense them much earlier. And that is one of the things which is going to change, in my opinion.
Thanks, Swami. Anil, Aniruddha, your views, please.
Yeah, I'll keep it very short. In the demand forecasting, there are only 4 or 5 key variables. One is your consumption, second is your safety stock, third is your lead time, fourth is your promotional or seasonal spike. Right now, it will vary from product category to product category, and that's embedded into the algorithm. Now, the supply chain manager or whosoever is the lead needs to have a clear understanding of all these 5 variables. Then this mystery is solved.
Okay, thank you, Aniruddha. George, your views, please.
I think it's very similar technologies, just different applications. For example, when we've done some work with some retailers, what we've actually looked at is perishable items. So things that have a defined use date and then spoil after the use date. Whereas in other items that have a longer shelf life, you can use something like a one-dimensional barcode. What we're starting to look at is 2-dimensional barcodes and embedding more information in there. So we have things like the product SKU number as the starting point, but also things like batch numbers, expiry dates, etc. So I think the technology is very similar. It's just the use of that technology and what you do with it.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Anil, please.
I would continue actually what George is trying to say, that right? More than what technology do we have, what different technology, more than that, I would say, how would you use it actually? How do you connect various stakeholders in the value chain actually? Like even what Ms. Swami was also trying to actually allude into. How transparent are you with your partners? How connected are you with your partners and your customers and your staff and all that? So that sincere and then true connection, or the real-time connection with your key stakeholders, is probably the difference rather than what technology you have, because technology is only an enabler. What do you do with the technology? How quickly can you cater to, the variations or the vagaries of actually the changes, is where probably the secret is. I guess that's the secret sauce, I guess.
Thank you, Anil ji. Your views, Jay Kumar ji, for this final question.
I think most of them are covered. I think I have nothing to cover.
Sure. Okay. Thanks, Jay Kumar ji. With this, I would like all our esteemed panelists to sum up and give their mantras for today's webinar on experience, operations, and data, the key pillars to the new normal for retail. So we will start again with Aniruddha. What would be your 1, 2, or 3 mantras for the retailers?
Yeah, only one mantra, Hitesh, for survival, thrive, and grow is collaboration. Collaborativeness between operation and technology is supply chain. Because we need to understand the supply chain is broken at the manufacturer's end also. They need serious handholding. So we need to do serious handholding both at a back end, who are manufacturers, and the front end, who are the local kirana, grocery, or whosoever as a consumer. So we need to be more collaborative in this challenging time. We need to get more positive stories out rather than what is the gloomy story all across.
Agreed, Aniruddha. Collaboration is what Aniruddha is telling. Dr. Anil, what is your mantra, please, or your mantras?
Yeah, I guess as I've been saying, actually, stay fit, which means what? Stay alert, stay agile, without fat. Ready to kind of, snap on and then act into. And then second mantra is probably, stay close to your partners, your staff, and then your customers also. So I guess, if you are able to, practice that, you are able to actually, act on those demands, or act on their requirements, or act on their actually situation quickly, so that combined with agility, your speed of response also will be very, very timely. Therefore, you are able to actually make a profitable, proposition.
Excellent. Agility and speed. Dharmender, your mantra, please.
So, Dr. Hitesh, anything that can bring speed or agility to the business, the technology, retailers should start adopting. Retailers have been really shy on adopting digital technology. So anything, so they can make priority lists, they can invest according to their budgets and returns that they're expecting, but deploy technology, be it training, be it pre-purchase, be it post-purchase, but start deploying technological innovations. There are a lot of AI SaaS-based tools which are available on pay-per-use models. And every model, be it supply chain, be it CRM, because customer engagement is also very important in these times. So customer has loyalty is a little foregone for the new age customers, but customer relationship management is still very important. So these technologies, retailers should start investing in adopting and start adopting really, really fast.
Adopting in retail technology is something that Dharmender is propagating, which I feel is the right thing, because today technology is the only backbone and the only way forward. Like Anil also said, it's an enabler, but you should have the best enabler with us, and that's where you will get an edge over the others and the situation. Satish, your mantras, please.
Yeah, I'll probably just give a quick analogy, right? So it's like, experience is the soul of the organization, right? The spirit of the organization. I think your operations is more like the body, right? It's like coordinated actions, and your data is more like the mind, right? So you need the mind-body action to actually, enhance the experience and catalyze the experience. So I would say that I think, experience, operations, and data is really the, what should I say, the trinity of the new normal, right? If I can use that word.
That was an excellent analogy, Satish. Mind, body, and action, that is experience, data, and operations. I think that's Satish's mantra. Swami, what about you? What are your mantras for success here in this today's context?
I would say I would urge all of us to reimagine the processes. We have to, in the digital world, the processes, the existing processes need to be reimagined and rebuilt. I think we need to accept it and move in that direction. It can be, the number of touch points can be reduced. The number of, number of people taking decisions can be changed. The human interventions can be reduced, and the whole process can get digital. That is something which we need to reimagine, and that is, I think, that is what will bring efficiency and growth in this sector.
Reimagine the process. That's what Swami says. Excellent. Jay Kumarji, your mantras, please.
Just to add on, I feel strongly, because our experience is any size of the business, whether it is small or big, first try to be flexible, and we have to adopt changes. That's very important, so that in the long run, anything something like comes like this, we could be very well prepared to really face. That is one. The second one, definitely we have to invest more time and more the thing on integrating this online and offline as an omni-channel experience. It's no more, it is a separate online, it is separate offline. I think still as an organization, in our perspective, we think that I think this is the time where we feel we have to really merge, and we have to see as on the whole as one category, so that the clear experience where the customers will really reach to the customers.
Thank you, Jay Kumarji. George, your final words and your mantras, please.
I think essentially what we need to do is understand the customer, and the customer is not the same customer we had at the end of 2019. They've evolved, they've changed, their experiences have driven that. What they're after now is safety, speed, and convenience. Again, we've heard of that blurring. There's that phygital. There's no online and offline. There's a blurring and a mixture of those together. So essentially, as retailers, what you need to do is look at that yourself and be able to understand that if this is what your customer wants, then I need to transform digitally to be able to do this. How do I do this? I look at things differently. I become a little bit more agile. I take analytics and data into effect to make smarter decisions in real time, because I think one of the key things that we've been hearing about is agility, so that real-time analysis. But more importantly than anything else is look at the models. If you have a separate online and a separate offline, then they really do need to come together, because that's what your customers want.
Thank you, George. With this, friends, we come to an end of this wonderful deliberation that we had today. I'll just sum up the few mantras that all of you have discussed: collaboration, agility, speed, adopting technology, reimagining the process, being flexible, omni-channel is the only way out, and the key is understanding the customer. With this, I thank all of you for joining us today for this wonderful webinar that we had. Thank you everyone for sharing your insights. It was a pleasure, interacting with all of you. Until we meet the next time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks, Dr. Diaz. Thanks all the panelists. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Hitesh.
everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you all.